Wednesday, May the 12th, 2021, I posted anachronism number 233. It's called The Trees and the Breeze, a composition in memoriam. I'm missing the sound of the breeze through trees, huge elms, sprightly young maples, steadfast oaks, a light-hearted sycamore. I hadn't meant it quite so specifically as that. It was such a quartet: an elm, a maple, an oak, and a sycamore. That made up a sort of alcove into which nestled the easternmost side of the home wherein I was raised. Making up the kids' bedrooms, one for me and my twin brothers, the other for my sister. I say that I had not meant it so specifically because I suppose it is often that I imagine the sound of a breeze flowing through trees in the 20-something years that I have now lived without from within, where I live that specific and consistent sound, which to me is such a pleasant sound, and one that by its very nature conjures up so much more than just the breezes and trees of its origin. Takes me back to childhood, for I have had the luxury, the good fortune, the pleasure of studying the sounds of wind co-creates as it is sifted by a diversity of trees and locations that, where they mapped, would quite literally crisscross this awe-inspiring nation. For example, there's Jamaica Plain near Boston in the great state of Massachusetts, where I lived on a hill just a house or two down from the Jamaica Plain Cemetery. I'm a little Gemini today. Which cried out day and night, and especially night, thanks to the proliferation of elder arbor over the relatively ancient tombstones and markers it protected, and, of course, Bowling Green, Ohio, which I must admit I remember more as a flat and almost barren land, but I do nevertheless recall, and with ease and distinct rustle, the wind made as it blew swiftly through the spare standing timber that wintry town had to offer. There was, I recall with warmth, Ann Arbor, Michigan, a treed town, as its name so proudly projects, wherein, especially at night before I sleep, I often heard the sounds of the trees as they were swayed by what would be the chill winter wind. The sound was enough for me. After all, why would I want to freeze? There was, I can recall, just like it were now, the wind just outside my dorm windows on Hendricks campus in Conway, Arkansas. There were even a medley or two of some merit that rang through from the solitary trees to my urban apartment in a pre-gentrified downtown Little Rock, where I lived for a while upon graduation, and oh, the joyous noises that spring to my mind as if directly from Toledo, Ohio, in which I resided for 5 or 6 years. And when ambulatory enough, I spent years without functioning transportation in some of the worst locations with which to be without. And Toledo wins that competition with gusto. I'd be running into, out of, through, and around the thickets of Wildwood Park, often around dusk. The wind through the trees in each of the locations I have called home run through my head with some persistence and consistence, and with no small amount of insistence at such varying speeds. The tunes are as diverse as there are species of trees, I suppose, and there are over 60,000 of those. I looked it up. As multivarious as there are moods, or is this just me, I wonder? And so it's no small thing, this is for me, to imagine the sound a breeze makes as it blows through an assortment of trees, or maybe just through a single solitary tree. Either way, it's a comfort and a way to place myself on this earth, and a method or mode of remembering which is always for me so key. As you may well know, and if by chance you do, you might note that this is another of life's greatest pleasures, and I am so thankful, is always a comfort to me as well. But today we are talking breezes and trees. And now, most especially given that there are no trees which I can presently hear at my window, and it's been a bit too long, I'd add some 20-odd years, as I may already have mentioned, since existed any tree nearby enough to what I call home. And so I do hope that you won't mind terribly my rambling on at such length over the map of my existence, as it were, in relation to that sound to which I now can only imaginatively listen, of a breeze as it whistles and whishes past us and the trees, with which it invariably creates a collaborative and one always unique, as it twists and it swirls around each tree in its path. It's a piece that becomes, for me at least, as the sound that is built by the two intermixing alights upon the air, that is, either of mine, so the sound that is made, the song that I hear, is becoming a moment remembered, that just by its comings and goings it has composed, creates.